So let's discuss a really interesting topic, which is how do you take the product of a fraction and a whole number? First of all, before we even begin to do that, I think it's worth pausing for a second and thinking about, does it even make sense to multiply 2 over 3 by 12? So what does it even mean, right? I mean, remember, we had a very simple interpretation of, let's say, 3 fours, which was really you add 4 3 times. That was pretty neat. But what do you mean by this weird statement of 2 or 3 times 12? So we have to think a bit for a second. Before we go on and try to define the multiplication, we have to see it makes sense. So let's say we have let's say we have a box, and here's a box, and let's imagine there are 12 eggs in the box. So let me make a smaller box. So here's a box, and the box has uh, 12 eggs. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the box has 12 eggs, and we can, so here's the box of 12 eggs. So now if somebody says, give me two of those boxes, two of those boxes, how many eggs did you get? Well, you got two 12s, which is equal to 24. But the answer is not important. You got two 12s. If I say, so actually the important thing is this is two 12s. Now if somebody say give me 5 of those boxes, so let's say somebody says give me 5 of those boxes, you'd say you'd get 5 into 12, right? That's what you would mean. So now if somebody were to say give me 2/3 of those boxes, so 2/3 of those boxes, but you would say this is just 2/3 into 12. So what I mean by saying all of this is that really you could define a meaning for multiplication by using the English word of, right? So now I'm arguing that you can probably make sense of 2/3 times 12. So the question that we asked, does this even make sense, right? And the answer is probably yes, and it's based on the meaning of, right? And that's the meaning of that we have. So now let's find how can we give 2/3 of those boxes. Well, what we can do is I can break up my box. So here's my box. I'm going to break it up into thirds. So I can take my 12 eggs. I can divide them by 3 to get 4 eggs. So that means I'll have these thirds, and now I have my box broken up into 3, and then I can take 2 of these. So what that really means is that the interpretation that I'm giving for 2/3 times 12 is actually equal to 2 multiplied by 12 divided by 3, because I'm taking 2 of those thirds, right? So, and each third has exactly 4 eggs, 12 divided by 3 eggs, right? So it's just exactly equal to 2 into 12 divided by 3. But please note that this is actually equal to 2 multiplied by 12 divided by 3. We have already talked about this before, but let me remind you of a story. So, for example, let's say you have two aunts coming. So, these are your aunts who are coming, and there are three children in the house, and each aunt is bringing 12 chocolates. So when first aunt comes, she gives 12 chocolates to three children, so each child will get 4 chocolates. And when the second aunt comes, it repeats itself. So the total chocolates that each child get is 2 multiplied by 4, right? That's one way to think about it. Another way to think about this problem is that the aunts first get together and they pool their chocolates. So they pool their 12 chocolates, the two aunts, to get 24 chocolates, and then they come in and give them to the children so that each child will again get the same number of chocolates, which is 8. So you can see that this has to be correct. Okay, but now 2 times 12 over 3, we know the division interpretation of fractions, so we can write it as 2 into 12 over 3, which is just 24 over 3, which is equal to 8, right, which is correct. So what I want to conclude from this is, that's an important conclusion, that I can define 2 over 3 times 12 by using the meaning of, and when I define it this way, I can say that 2 over 3 times 12 is equal to 2 times 12 over 3. This is right over here, this statement. Or I can also say, remember I have the division interpretation of fractions, so I can say this is 2 multiplied by 12 over 3 is 12 divided by 3 is just 12 over 3. So I could also say this is equal to 2 multiplied by 12 over 3. So all of these would be correct ways of multiplying a fraction with a whole number, and the meaning is coming from the interpretation of. Okay, so now we are in business. So let's try another calculation. Let's say I want to calculate 3/8 of 20. Well, that's just equal to 3 over 8 multiplied by 20, and I can change this to 3 into 20 divided by 8, and this is just equal to 60 divided by 8, and I can divide the numerator and denominator by 4, so I'll get this to be 15 over 2, which is 7.5 if I want to. And now please also note that what I did was, when I divided by 4, I divided the numerator and denominator by 4. So I could have divided the numerator and denominator by 4 earlier, and this is something that people do, and that's called cancellation. Let me just show you. So I'm just writing this 3 over 8 multiplied by 20. I could have cancelled right here, which means I could have divided by 4 right here. So if I divide 8 by 4, I get 2. If I divide 20 by 4, I get 5, and I get the answer, which is 15 over 2. And what I've used essentially is this idea that if I take 3 multiplied by 20 and I divide it by 4, that's what I was doing, 60 divided by 4. So this is exactly what we did when we went from here. 60 divided by 4 was 15. What I could do is I could actually say this is just 3 multiplied by 20 divided by 4, which is what I did over here, because I divided 20 by 4 earlier and I got 5. So this is obviously correct based on previous work that we've done. Okay, so I can use these ideas to, maybe if I want to figure out 5/6 of a year in months. So I want to figure out 5/6 of a year. So how much is that? Well, that's very easy, because I really want 5/6 of a year and I want it in months. So let's say in months. So this is just going to be equal to, because each month has 12 years, so I'm just going to say 5 over 6 times 12, which is 60 over 6, which is equal to 10 months, right? And if I want, let's say, 2 1/3, so I want to figure out what is 2 1/3 hours in minutes. Well, I know that 1/3, this is 2 whole plus 1/3, so I just want to figure out what 1/3 hour is in terms of minutes. So what I can do is I want to figure out what 1/3 of 1 hour is, and 1 hour is just 60 minutes. So I'm just saying this is 1/3 multiplied by 60, which is just 60 over 3, which is equal to 20 minutes. So the answer is going to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay.